Right, hello everyone and welcome back to Crawford Corner. In today's video, we are going to be watching Round 5 at Leicester CCQ, hosted by Axion. Now, this match was an absolute thriller. I remember it very well. Unfortunately, we are on my own today. We don't have a co-commentator, but maybe I'll be able to grab a couple of co-commentators for some future videos down the line. So you're just going to have to put up with my voice on its own for today. But today, we are going to be watching Crawford Corner myself on Ruby Amethyst, or as I've been calling it, Ruby Amethyst, with my bit of a weird version of Ruby Am that was doing really well at the CCQ. And we are going to be playing against George from Zartu Games. He is on big, scary Blurple itself. Now, George, very strong player, and he plays very well in this match. However, this deck is specifically built to beat Blurple. Now, one of the things that I was really banking on at the weekend of Axion for the Leicester CCQ was running into as much Blurple and as much dogs as possible. The deck does tend to struggle a little bit against the likes of Purple Steel or maybe even Amber Amethyst, those kind of mid-range killers that really control the board. However, the slower control builds, the deck absolutely vibes against. Performed so well in the testing, and I was so glad to see that George was on Blurple when I sat down against him. But don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean it's an easy match. As you know, Blurple is a very powerful deck, so no matter what you're playing, you need to work against it because they have large amounts of removal. However, what they do tend to struggle with is wide board states, and that's something that I'm very aware of in this game. George is going to be starting off with the play here. Not ideal for me. I would rather be starting, but it's okay. We can cope with that. He yanks a card, then sticks out Royal Guard. Now, really interesting card. This gets +1 for every time you draw a card. So you draw for turn to begin with, so that makes it a 2/2 character already. But then when you draw more cards with cards like Sail, get a Tipo down there, so it doesn't get the boost on it, but doesn't need it already. It means it can get very big very quickly. We've went for the underdog story myself. I'm going to be quoting that for a while after hearing Spessy using it at the DLC weekend. I love the idea of going underdog story. I go for the Christopher Robin. Really nice card, able to play it out on turn 1 if you go in second. 1/3 stat line, it's able to quest for 2. Big negative for me though is it's able to be taken out very quickly. But George didn't realise that was on Ruby Amethyst. I think he was thinking that was on Purple Steel, so I wouldn't be able to take out his card with the Christopher Robin there. Made the mistake of opening it up. I'm able to play down Lumiere. Lumiere gives +1 strength to all characters on my board, meant I'm able to take out the big threat to Christopher Robin. One of the big benefits of it not being open deck list at this point, my opponent didn't know what I was playing until now, whereas now we're in a nice comfortable position, able to get rid of his character on board, leaving him with only a Tipo to begin with. Now, George having a little bit of think about what he's wanting to do here. Obviously, because of the ramp, he's going to be on 4 ink in a second, just trying to work out what card he's wanting to stick into his inkwell. Looks like he's going to be going down for the Cheshire Cat here. Little bit of an annoying card for me to come down. He's going to be doing some damage into the Christopher Robin, gets the 2 damage onto that altogether. However, the big negative here, because I've got the damage on the Christopher Robin, he can move that across on his next turn, take out my Lumiere, take out the big assistance to my board, beefing up all my characters. However, the good news is it's not a quick play, so it means he's not going too quick against me. If I can get a wider board state, it means I can end up in quite a prime position, put him under a lot of pressure. George seems to be giving me the famous Ed Chu stare there. Death stare right in the eyes, working out what I'm doing. A little bit intimidating, but I love the theatrics in a game law corner. Put your opponent under as much pressure as possible. I'm going to elect to ink the Genie there, the boost character, playing out Sisu, gets +1 strength for every card in my opponent's hand. I've recognised that Lumiere can be taken out there with Cat's Effect, so I've said, okay, let's go with it. And I'm electing to quest out, put the pressure on again. Quest with both Christopher Robin and Lumiere, going up to a total of 3 law to 1, putting me in the lead. However, once Blurple gets into the later game, that's when they become really dangerous. Cards we're going to be looking out for, of course, the Cheshire Cat that's on board, got Let It Go, Hades, Into the Unknown. So even these exerted characters now are at risk of an early Into the Unknown sticking me into the inkwell. However, I am banking on this. I would really love for George to start hitting down removal. A lot of the cards in my deck relying on boost, get to boost up loads, have loads of cards underneath it, such as Cheshire Cat and the Genie. When he removes it, it means it's filling out my inkwell, and it will fill up my resources really quickly. quickly. This deck's speciality is getting loads of draw as quickly as possible. So if I got 7, 8, 9, 10 and above ink, then I start to become very, very threatening with how quick I can be on the board. Now, both characters removed there. Cheshire Cat exerted, only 2 cards left in George's hand. Going to need a little bit of draw quickly, or he will be exerting and running out quick. However, a Demona could come down and put me into a little bit of a worse position. Yzma comes out onto the board, something that I quite like to get down on that turn 4, being able to get the additional card draw if I'm able to fill out my board, which I can certainly do with this deck because the lower cost curve. I decide not to exert my Sisu there. Obviously, not a lot of cards in George's hand, so if he plays down something like an Elsa, it means Sisu is going to be at really weak strength and taken out really easy. George does come down with the Genie now, so a turn later for the Genie than you'd normally expect, but Cheshire Cat on the board is, of course, a threat. Genie given the benefit the additional +1 card into hand, a card that we've seen taken out of Blurple recently, and a lot of purple builds electing to play cards like Isis Vanderchill or even Tigger, so interesting to see it still in the Blurple list here. 2 ink still remaining, could potentially play a card or maybe wants to boost his Cheshire Cat. Looks like that's what he's doing, moving no damage across there. Now, as the opponent, this tells me vital information. George is potentially trying to get cards back into his hand by using a return effect, maybe Madam Mim, maybe Magical Maneuvers, so something I need to be a little bit careful of. It does signal to me that I want to get rid of the Cheshire Cat a little bit quicker rather than later because I don't want him to get that card draw. At this point of the game, having only 2 cards in his hand is really, really good for me, and if he can run out of resources, it means I can really steamroll and go ahead quickly. Now, Yzma isn't the best to have down at this point because I don't have... Well, I have a lot of cards in the hand, which is the problem. I do elect to ink the Demona. We go Genie and Diablo onto the board, and then I'm going to be using Yzma's effect. So play down 2 cards, inked card, empty the hand out, get to draw. I do exert both characters. Now, Sisu Quest as well put me up to 5 lore compared to his 1, so definitely in the lead. However, I can only imagine that Cheshire Cat is going to be going into Yzma at this point. A little bit of bait from myself as well. I've got the draw from Yzma now. I do want to get rid of the Cheshire Cat so he's not getting cards back into his hand. It means that I can quite comfortably run Genie into the Cheshire Cat if he does choose to exert it, which I'm assuming he's probably going to do. However, he could run Genie into Yzma, get the free damage on Genie, and then move 2 damage counters across, put it onto Yzma, taking it out. He does elect to ink the guidebook there. Interesting when he doesn't have a lot of cards in hand. Elects to take out Yzma with the Cheshire Cat. So 3 damage counters on the cat now. Still has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 ink altogether. So can get rid of another card if he wants to. Definitely not in the clear for me, but I'm still feeling quite comfortable at this part of the game. Once again, the way to get around Blurple is a wide board and making sure that they run out of resources. If they have a small hand state, if they don't have a lot in there, there's just nothing much they can do to stay in the game. George really having to take his time to work out what play he wants to do here. Elects to boost the Cheshire Cat, moving 2 damage across, going to be sticking it now onto Sisu. 2 cards in hand, so Genie able to take it out comfortably without removing itself from the board, but it means he's not questing. Card comes down there, not too sure what it is because of the glare. I think it might be another Genie since he drew. It looks like that is the case, yeah. So a little bit of card draw once again into George's hand. He's got 2 evasives on the board now, which I'm not going to have the ability to get rid of. Now, it is a little bit of a shame because I wouldn't really want to get rid of Genie here. If I open it up, then he can challenge into it next turn, take it out. I've got 3 damage counters onto it now. If a cat comes down on my side of the board, that could be really big. Looks like I'm exerting 3. This could be the play. Excellent. Cat comes down onto the board. Now I can boost Cheshire Cat, move 2 damage counters off of Genie, take out his Genie, leaving him with only a single 4-cost Genie on the board. And then I get to quest for Diablo, put me on a total of 7 to his 1. Really, really great position here. Genie, of course, is not going to be able to take out my Genie, so I can start boosting that up, fill out the cards underneath it, and then start questing for large amounts. Really, really impressive card, this 3-cost Genie from Winterspell. Has the effect of boost 1, and whenever you boost this card, you get to quest for an additional lore for each card which is underneath it. In games that I've played, my opponents have got this card really, really big, and it means you have to put a lot of your resources into there. Going to be inking a Hades then. It immediately decides to boost the Genie, 1 card under it. So next turn it's questing for 2, but I can boost again and then quest it for a total of 3 next turn if he's not able to get rid of it. Another 2 with the Diablo means I'll quest for 5, taking me to 12. He puts down Hades, looking for a deal onto the board, wanting to try to get rid of my cat. At this point, I'm not too sure I really want to get rid of that cat because I can move damage counters about. I elect to let him draw. Now, the big risk of this, once again, he's starting to get resources in his hand, but I don't want to lose that cat because I can threaten his characters. Can tell by George's body language, though, not too impressed with what he's drew into. Looks a little bit unhappy. Ask how many cards in hand. 2 cards in my hand altogether. Now, Hades is a big statted character, so it is going to help the removal here, but obviously can't challenge till the next turn. Inks another Hades, then sticking out a guidebook, and then plays out the Royal Guard, realising not a lot of item removal, in fact, no item removal whatsoever in Ruby Amethyst, so safe to put that down and pop it whenever he needs to. Gets the Royal Guard out onto the field. Next turn, when he gets the draw from the guidebook, that is only going to benefit the guard, putting it up to a higher stat line, meaning that I can't really afford to exert my Genie at this point. But then on the other side of things, he could quite comfortably put down a Hades and then get rid of it straight away. I do play out a Genie myself, getting that evasive body onto the field. Really nice here, since he doesn't have many evasive threats himself. He's going to need something like a Hypnotic Strength to be able to put onto his Genie to challenge it into my Genie on the following turn. I elect to boost again. We have 2 cards underneath my Genie now. Can quest for 3 if I so choose to, but having a think to see if I want to exert this early on and risk losing a character. Once again, I could go with the strategy here of just constantly boosting it every turn, force him to use his ink-based removal, and then have plenty of ink in my inkwell. However, I do decide that it's best to just put the pressure on as much as possible. 10-3 deficit. Not sure if I want to exert the Diablo here, but I can still ink for turn. Little bit hesitant on the ink, decides to ink, looking for a deal, and then playing out Lumiere. +1 strengthful to all my characters. This is really nice here because it means that my characters on board are going to take out his characters as well. Hades looking for a deal, has 4 strength, Genie 4 willpower, Genie 4 willpower as well. Now all my exerted characters have 4 strengths. They'll be able to take out anything that he challenges in with. Realistically, he's going to want to run the guard into something. He's going to want to focus on that, perhaps taking out Genie with the guard, and then can run Hades into the Diablo, but it means he's losing his board state. And he's going to want to find some form of removal. If you can get the Hades down, get rid of my Lumiere, that would be a nice play for him. However, once again, it's just giving me extra resources in the inkwell. Like I've said many times in this video, this deck is built to have all the draw possible in purple. We want to take advantage of the purple color, draw as many cards, constantly fill out the board state, make it as hard as possible for the opponent to try and control me for the whole game. He's popped the guidebook, had the draw there, so looks like we are going to be going for 6, is it? No, it's 5 cost, goes for Elsa, exerts the Lumiere. Really nice play here, takes rid of the threat, giving +1 to everything. Elsa gets 2 damage on her, takes out the candle there. We still have Genie Diablo Exalt on the board. Plays down Basil, going to be really useful on a following turn. Royal Guard goes in, takes out my Genie there from the additional draw. And then we are going to be going into the Diablo with the Hades, able to quest for 2 with the Genie, putting him on 5 total. My board state is looking a bit bleak at this point, not a lot of cards in hand. However, like I say, still 2 cards on board. I'm at a 12-5 deficit. It's looking good for me. I'm able to put on loads and loads of pressure. Really, really happy with this position that I'm in the game. I just want to find a little bit of draw, beef up that hand a little bit more, just make sure that I have plenty of resources. He can't get rid of everything whatsoever. Now, working out what we want to do for turn hit, continuing to ink. Now, this is one of the important things with this deck. A lot of people tend to say that Ruby Am will function absolutely fine off 4 or 5 ink. However, for me, I want to constantly ink and then build up so I can get as many resources out in one go as quickly as possible. We get the Demona down, able to exert every single card on the field, and then I'm drawing up to 3 cards in my hand. Demona, of course, is Stone by Day ability that if you have 3 cards or more in your hand, you are not able to ready her when she's exerted. Quest for 2 with the Genie, having to think if I want to do anything with the cat here. I've still got 2 ink available, so I could run the cat into something and then move 2 damage counters across. Decide to do that, go straight into the Basil there, and then I'm going to be moving the damage across. I think that has to be the Hades. Yep, moves it onto the Hades, gets rid of that. Only an Elsa and Genie on the board state for George. Now, not a lot of question power there, and not a lot of threats. He could run both the Elsa and the Genie into my Genie to get rid of it. but that means he's not questing for that turn, and then he'd want to find some ink removal to get rid of Demona, perhaps, leave me only with the 1 Quester on board, but I only need 6 lore to be able to win this game at this point. It's getting closer and closer and closer. All I want to do at this point is constantly put pressure on him, constantly make him work to have the resources. Of course, sometimes they're just going to have it, but it's not every time, and if they keep having to use all the resources, they will eventually run out, whereas I know that my draw engine, not likely to. Deck is built for draw, deck is built to go wide, deck is built to cause as many problems for the opponent as possible. Like I said at the start of the video, not able to do mass board removal, but we do see an enchanted Demona going into the inkwell there for George. Flexing the fancy card, we have a spicy, spicy shiny card. I love to see it. I'm not brave enough to play with enchanters myself because I shuffle like a child, but we will ignore that. Unfortunately, he does have to stick the Cheshire Cat into the inkwell. I've got a few cards boosted under it, so my inkwell is now absolutely huge. This means that if I can get a bit of draw going, I am able to layer this board very, very quickly. Going to be going for the magical maneuvers there, able to put Hades back into hand. Now, if I have more than 3 cards in my hand, I'm not able to ready Demona, which would be a massive negative and a humongous play for George. However, if it was only the 2 cards in hand, doesn't count with the draw. However, I've not readied the Demona, so it looks like I had too many cards in hand. That is a massive shame. Not able to take the game yet. Gonna have to wait a little bit, however. Lots of resources, lots of ink. We stick down the Elsa, don't need to exert anything, and then I'm going to be taking out the Elsa as well. A little bit more damage on the Elsa there, and obviously he could shift if he wanted to. He may not be running that in a deck, but I find that getting rid of an Elsa is always more threat than a Genie, especially when you're winning on the lore total. You do not need to worry as much about a Genie. I stick down the 3-cost Genie myself, and then I'm boosting it immediately, putting on questing threats for the future turn. Stick down a Diablo as well. Really nice board state at this point. If I don't have too many cards in hand, I'll be able to ready Demona, quest for 2, 3, stick another card under the Genie, quest for 3 there. That will be 2, 3, 6. That's 8 lore I can quest with on board. He's going to need to get rid of at least 3 lore to be able to stay in this game, I think. If my maths is correct there, yep, needs to get rid of 3 lore on the board. So potentially Elsa and a Diablo, maybe get rid of the Genie. He's going to have to stick something down, try and get rid of it. Otherwise, this is going to be game over very quickly for George. Once again, even if he is able to come back into this, he's not got a lot of cards on the board. Going to be sticking the Let It Go on and then getting rid of my Genie straight away. Then going to be using Rush Sven to take out Elsa. Really nice played turn here. Genie's going to be quest for 2, going up to 7. I'm not out the woods yet, however, I can quest for 4 this turn, taking me up to 18 if I am able to ready the Demona. Big question is, am I able to turn it sideways here? If not, it is going to be quite a work for me, but we see lots and lots of resources in the inkwell, which is fantastic. We ready the Demona, did not have too many cards in hand, really good position for me here. If I quest out, I only need 2 more lore to be able to win the game. Of course, I don't have any ways to be able to just generate instant lore in my deck, which is a negative, but we get Horseman come down here, pops the Sven, we get Christopher Robin coming out as well, questing up to 18. Lots of cards on the board here, 2, 4, 6, 8 lore on the board, only 2 to win. Not sure there's anything he can do, and unfortunately that is going to be a scoop. Game 1 goes to Crawford Kana on the draw here. Very, very nice start against Blurple. Now, of course, George is going to be going first this time here. The difference is he knows what I'm playing this time, so he might have a little bit more of a strategy to combat against me and try and beat me this time. Regardless, it's always going to be hard on the draw against Blurple, but I've done the hard bit. I've took the first game. Now all I need to do is get another. Even if I lose this second game, I'll have the ability to go first in the final game, which is absolutely crucial for me. Now, George elects to ink a card there, doesn't have anything that he's able to play on the turn 1. Having to think about what I want to do for my turn 1 myself. Christopher Robin could be really nice here. Inks the Genie, and we go for Christopher Robin. We've got an Underdog story straight away again. Once again, credit to Spessy. I'm stealing your words, but I like it, and it is now mine. I'm going to trademark that Crawford Kana. I don't think I'm going to win that legal battle. Going to be inking Into the Unknown on the other side. Playing down Sail the Azurite Sea allows him to draw an additional card, ink an additional card for turn, and then if he wants to use that one single remaining ink. The question is, does he have the one drop to be able to play? Inks the Elsa, not a great card that he wants to be inking here. This is a big negative for George, not having any cards on this early in the game. He really wanted to get out that Rule Guard or maybe something like a Rafiki, put my Christopher Robin under pressure, but now I'm going to be able to get a free quest there. Quest with Christopher Robin, get down Diablo on the board, straight away pass and turn. I know exactly what I'm trying to do here. Build up the board, build up the resources, put on the quest and threat as quickly as possible, make him work for it. If he goes for a Genie on this turn, it's going to be a very slow play for him, and it's not going to be enough to take out either of my characters unless he gets an Elsa on the following turn. We've already seen that he's inked one though, so George definitely not in the best position. We have another Enchanted going into the ink while George just flexing all the amazing cards that he has. My deck feels a little bit poor in comparison. Love to see it. Readying both characters after the Genie comes down. So we're going to be inking a Demona here. Realise we don't need it straight away. We go for a Palace Guard, and we also go for Olaf, questing for 4 total, putting me up to 6. Once again, getting this board nice and wide. Obviously, Demona is a little bit of a negative. Getting rid of straight away would be nice to get that draw engine. However, the way that Blurple works, they tend to be running a little bit low on cards till they get the Demona themselves. I could just rely on George playing a Demona and filling my hand as long as I keep my hand low. It does mean that whenever he does get that big bomb of exerting all my cards, I'm going to benefit off it. What I don't want to do is be in the position where I've got loads of cards in my hand, and then when he plays down a Demona, I lose cards on the field and don't get any draw benefit. Elsa comes down, exerts the Olaf. Olaf definitely a big massive threat in this deck. It's in there to help with the Genie boost, the Cheshire Cat boost. It means that I can run Olaf into something when they exert a character, get rid of my Olaf, hopefully get rid of their character as well, but more importantly return a card back to my hand. I can return the Demona, can return my boosted cards, get a big draw engine going here. Now the Elsa does get rid of the Olaf. I decide that I don't want to get rid of anything on board. I don't want to give him board advantage. He quests for 2 with the Genie and he is going to be pass and turn. I have 4 lore available on the board this turn, so I'm definitely going to be questing here. However, just had the Elsa out, so that means he is going to be there for that turn 6 ready and soon. We play down the Genie, get the additional draw into my hand here, questing out to 10 and pass turn. One of the best things about this deck is I know exactly what I'm doing. It's quick, it's simple turns, and I can put the pressure back on the opponent, make them work for it. When I don't give them time to think about their plays, it means they're under way more pressure. This game is going pretty well so far. Once again, I'm pretty happy. However, I need to be aware, once we go past 7 ink, that's when threats start to happen. Hades is an absolute nightmare coming down if it's not on a boosted card. I'm going to want to try and get some boosted cards out quickly. I want to try and build my resource on the board, and I need to try and get a draw engine like Yzma down ready so I can keep drawing cards and keep putting George under pressure. If he's able to control my board and start focusing on drawing himself, it means it's only going to end badly for me. Sail the Azurite Sea goes into the inkwell, George having to think about what play that he wants to do here. Obviously hitting down the Demona, he's got a few cards in his hand, so he's not really going to get much benefit himself. And then he only gets to exert the Genie. However, we are singing Let It Go with Elsa, 5-cost song. My Genie goes straight into the inkwell. I don't hate this. I was expecting Genie to go anyway, but this way, it means I'm getting a resource into my inkwell. I am now caught up in ramp with George. So we're matching Blurple tit for tat here, and he does play down the Demona. I've got a few cards in hand, so I definitely get no benefit whatsoever. Quest out, not able to draw himself. However, Demona is a big threat on the board. Once again, though, this is only good for me because I've got lots of low-cost characters. We're going to try and fill the board out now, hopefully, and put lots of pressure on him. I do see that Genie in my hand here. I might decide to play that out, try and force him into playing a Hades by boosting it straight away, get some multiple cards into my inkwell, build it even wider and wider and wider. Then if I'm able to get down something like a Demona or a Yzma, it means I'm just going to be drawing so much and putting on loads of pressure. Once again, George does not look too happy with his field at the minute. Doesn't look like somebody who's ready to take control of the game. He realizes under a lot of pressure. We get Horseman down, takes out Genie straight away. Ruby Amethyst on the removal here. Really nice turn here. Exactly what I want to see. Start to shorten down his board set. I've got the Lumiere there. Do I have enough to play? I don't think so. 5 ink has been spent. Going to be inking the Lumiere and then decide to play out an Olaf. If he gets rid of the Olaf, I'm able to bring back Horseman back into my hand and then pop Elsa on the following turn here. Now, Demona doesn't have to worry about readying because it was only played on the last turn. Elsa and Demona on the field. Looks like we have 6 ink altogether for the Blurple player. Able to ink a single more time this turn means he can definitely get out the Hades. Surely it's Horseman that he's going to want to get rid of, but once again, more ink for me in the inkwell. It only works better for Ruby Amethyst. George having to think about what he wants to do here. 6 ink available. Can ink. Decides to ink the Iago, a card that I don't want to see on the board because I'm not running any actions in this list whatsoever. He does elect to play the Hades. Hades goes into my inkwell. My ink is getting wider and wider. That's twice he's inked me now, once with the Let It Go and once with the Hades. Looks like he's wanting to challenge the Demona, potentially into the Diablo. However, that does mean if I get a cat down, I'm able to manipulate damage, but perhaps we want to get rid of the Demona. He does decide to go into Christopher Robin. Only 1 damage goes onto the Demona. The safer play there, meaning that I'm not going to be able to get something to take it out straight away. If I had an Elsa in hand and he took out the Diablo, I could run Elsa and Olaf to take out that Demona straight away. So a sensible play there by George. Playing the longevity game, 14-5 deficit. Ruby Amethyst still in the lead at this point, but only a Diablo and an Olaf on the board. Board certainly not looking as impressive as it was before. I think that's up to 7 ink now for myself on Ruby Amethyst. So if we have a couple of low-cost cards, this could work well for us. However, a little bit of hesitancy from me. I don't have the clear plays that I had earlier in the game. I'm having to think here. I'm to try and work out what I can do to scrape over the line. We're in the danger territory against Blurple because they have all their removal at this point. We know when Elsa is out in the field, he's inked an Elsa, he's used a Let It Go, he's used a Hades so far, but still plenty more. I decide to put out Genie onto the field, we're boosting it immediately. If I'm able to boost up this card a few times, I can get really, really close to 20 here and would be really useful on the following turn. Just needs to hope that he doesn't have the removal to get rid of it straight away. Doesn't look like I have anything else in my hand that I'm able to play. That is a shame. George looking a little bit happier here. Perhaps found a card that he's looking for. Going to be working out his ink, seeing what he can do with it. Spreads it out. 7 ink altogether. Now, Demona, Hades, and Elsa on the board. Not a lot of cards in hand, so was able to ready the Demona. Only 1 damage on it. Bit of a nightmare card. One of the things that I have found with Ruby Amethyst is high statted characters is a massive, massive pain for us. It's really hard to deal with them. We don't have the kind of removal that Blurple or Green Blue has. A little bit of a nightmare. We do go for the guidebook. He's able to pop straight away by spending an additional 1 and draw 2 cards. Obviously a different version than Finders Keeper was. Finders Keeper's 5-cost action lets you draw 3 cards. Guidebook, play it down for 2 and then spend 1 to exert, get rid of the card and then draw 2 cards, but only 3 ink that you have to use for that whole process, so a little bit of an easier option there. Now, the negative is if he's not able to get rid of these cards, if he does exert the Demona, he's not going to be able to ready it on the next turn. I can imagine that he's surely going to want to sing something. I think he has found another Let It Go in his hand. That is going to be great on Genie at this point. If he's not able to get rid of Genie, I can get an additional card under that. That quest for 3, 4 Olaf, 2 from the Diablo, so that would be 6 altogether. So I do have game on board. He needs removal this turn. If he doesn't have removal, he loses altogether here. He can't just quest out. Needs an Elsa, needs a Let It Go, needs a Hades, something that he can use to remove something from my board state. But once again, we are getting closer and closer and closer. The big benefit, once again, because I've boosted the Genie, if he does decide to sing a Let It Go or just hardcast a Let It Go onto the Genie, that's even more ink that I have an option to work with, but it just means I need to find a draw card. As you've seen, I've not had a lot of card draw this game. Hand has been sitting relatively empty, which is a little bit of a nightmare. Like I said, built the deck for the draw, not seen a lot of Genies, we've not seen many Demonas, we've not seen many options at all, not a single Yzma this game either, which is a little bit annoying. George having to think about what the best way to do this is. Inks the 1 cost, then going to be spending 1, spends to pay out the Basil, plays 4 for the Dumbo, really nice here, got a draw engine on board, then he sings the Let It Go, gets rid of the Genie, absolute nightmare situation for me. Board is getting really, really wide for the Blurple player, electing to quest out here, that's 2, 4, 5, goes up to 10 altogether, sorry, 9 because he sung with the Elsa, but has the Dumbo on board, so able to generate more card draw into his hand on the following turn. Really nicely played by George there, putting me under loads of pressure. I can go 17 on this turn, however, next turn he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lore available on the board. George can get to 16. If he goes into some removal and gets rid of the cards on my board, I'm not going to be able to beat him. I'm on a 2-turn clock now. I need to win this game in 2 single turns. Otherwise, George will take the win and we will be going on to a game 3. Once again, like I said at the start of the video, not the end of the world if we get the 3rd game because I will be on the play here. But taking a lot of time here thinking through the turn, a very clutch situation for this match. I need to play this completely perfectly, or I could risk throwing the game, something that I'm definitely not wanting to do. Few options in the hand. Looks like we're going to be exerting 3, I think. Moves them to the side. So what I'm doing here is just selecting ink for different cards, planning it out in my head. You see a lot of people using their finger as a conductor. Looks like I'm doing that myself. Try to work out how much lore he can get here. I realise that he can't win on the next turn. I could just quest out, however, I also don't want him getting too close either. But is there really anything that I can do to be able to get rid of this board state? I'm not too sure there is. As soon as I start challenging in, I put myself in a worse position. But if George finds any more removal and he's able to quest out, that's it. Game over. Nothing I'll be able to do whatsoever. George starting to look a little bit more confident now, looks a little bit less upset with his board state. Very wide board, has played this game very, very well. Like I said, George, a very talented Blurple player from Zartu Games in Norwich. Very, very strong, done very well in this tournament, especially in a dog-heavy meta at the minute. Still trying to process any way that I can get around this, trying to work out what the best thing to do, if I can get cards in my hand, if there's any way I can take this on a 2-turn clock. Once again, really, really pivotal point. I need to be a little bit careful that I don't take too long at this point. We don't want to time waste. However, like I say, a very clutch turn that I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing for and not sacking myself in a terrible position. We get Bell coming down, the one of tech card in my list. Bell comes down, moves the damage off Elsa, puts it onto the Dumbo. So it means if Dumbo is going to be challenging in, it is going to be taking itself out there. However, I don't think he's going to elect to do that. Now, if I quest out there with the 2 cards, I go to 17, so I would have game on board for the following turn. So if he challenges, it means it's putting me in a bad situation. Olaf challenges into the Demona, and then Bell comes into my hand. This could be a phenomenal play if I have the ink for it. Can I ink and play out the Bell again? Plays down. I get the Bell. The damage comes off Dumbo. Takes out... Oh, no, it's not quite enough. I've went to get rid of the Dumbo. Interesting. I thought that it would have been sensible there, getting rid of the powerful quester. However, I have also realised that no cards in George's hand whatsoever. If he's able to top deck removal, he's going to get it. We've got Diablo and Bell on the board. Really, really pivotal turn here. Getting rid of the Dumbo probably was the right play there. Be able to exert the Dumbo, exert the Elsa. No, I don't want to see that. Hades is a little bit annoying. By playing down the Hades, he makes me decide if I want him to draw or I get rid of the Bell. I need to have the card on the board. He gets to draw 2 cards. Does he get the removal to get rid of Bell? If he does, that is basically game over for me. He's probably going to challenge in for this turn, get rid of the Diablo anyway, so I can get to 18 on the following turn. But if he does have removal for this Bell, there is surely nothing I can do at this point. This game, extremely, extremely close. Even though George were very, very threatening board state, I've done the hard work. I've got most of the way there. I can only think if this was Infinity format, my lord, I wish I had a goat in my hand. Goat bounce would have been absolutely clutch. I miss the days of being able to bounce goat back in hand, get yourself a few lore, get yourself over the line after you've hit 16. We decided to challenge in, get rid of the Diablo. Only the Bell left on the board. Looks like we're going to be questing. Quest for 4 altogether, goes up to 14 total. I can't win on the next turn. However, George definitely can. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lore available on the board for George. It means I'm unfortunately going to have to sack my Bell into the Demona to stop him from winning, but that means I'm not questing, putting me under even more pressure. We're definitely not in a good position here, but there may potentially still be a way to come back. Neck and neck between both players here. A really, really tense match. If you guys are enjoying this series, please make sure to leave a like on this video and please make sure to subscribe to the channel. Quite a lot of you are viewing the videos, you're commenting, you're telling me you enjoy it, which is great. I love having you around, but you're not hitting that subscribe button. We are so close to 1k subscribers. I said to you guys that my goal was to get to 800 and you absolutely smashed that. We are nearly at 900 now, past 850 already. You guys are absolutely amazing. We just have that one final push left to get to 1k subscribers. Help us push over the line and continue watching for this CCQ tournament. Axion Leicester CCQ, absolutely huge tournament with some fantastic players there. We get the Yzma down on the board, not able to activate it straight away. Sisu comes down as well. I'm able to quest for 4 on the next turn. I take out the card. So George is not able to win straight away. This is all about this top deck. Can he get a form of removal? If he gets a form of removal, he can take it. But it's very dependent on what he's just drew into. Game on the board for Ruby Amethyst. Can this be a 2-0 against a fantastic Blurple player? I can only think that if he had the removal straight away, he'd be slamming that down, having to think about what he wants to do. You can tell by my face I'm a little bit stressed, hands getting a little bit sweaty, concentrating on the board today, hoping that he's not able to get rid of one of these characters. All he needs is an Elsa, a Let It Go, a Hades, anything along these lines. Even a Hades looking for a deal means I would have to let him draw, because I can't afford to get rid of this card, which could be a negative. Give him access to another card. Looks like he's going to be exerting 6. Surely not. Is it a Demona that's coming down? A Demona here could be absolutely massive. It gives me card draw into the hand, but it'll be too late. I won't be able to get rid of all the cards on his board. Stop him from getting over the line. On 14 at the minute. Can quest for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He can get to 19 on this turn. Not quite enough, but he gets the Demona. Awful timing, not what I want to see. Both cards exerted. He can now challenge in, take out both of my characters if he wants to. But realistically, he only needs to take out one. Surely Hades, the smaller one, goes into the Yzma, quest out for the rest of the cards. He still has 3 cards available here. Goes for the guidebook, allows him to draw even more cards into his hand. Really unfortunate there that he was able to get that. If he didn't have that final removal at the end, I think I would have taken it on that set. But very well played to George. That is, in fact, going to be game for him. Able to quest out to 19 there if he so chooses to, but I think he needs to take out one of my characters, stop me from questing. At that point, no instant law on the deck, nothing like gathering knowledge, nothing like White Rose. Obviously, Merlin Goat isn't legal anymore. Can't rely on Goat Bounce. Absolute heartbreak for Ruby Amethyst in a match that I have prepared for. Now, George working out exactly what he wants to do. Goes with the Hades that he's looking at. I think the play, George, is to just get rid of the Yzma or the Sisu, whatever you want to do here. You only need to get rid of one of them. But once again, he doesn't know that I don't run any instant law. Like I say, this is a very weird build of Ruby Amethyst. He's not going to be exactly sure what's in it. Looks like a potential misplay there, and just call in Judge, just to have a quick chat about what's happened. I remember this exactly. Now, what happened was he was using something on one of his characters, and then he's asked if he can take that back. I'd said, oh, I didn't think you're allowed to do that. Judge just came over and said, oh, no, you are actually allowed to do that now. I referenced that in my Blue Steel video against Lorcana Mad when I didn't take the turn back, when I could have won it there, because I thought that was still a rule. But that's what it is in Lorcana. You are able to take back as long as it's not changed the board state, as long as the additional card's not drawn, such and such. So he's decided that he just wants to take something back. Hades going in, takes out the Sisu there. And then Hades going to be taking out the Yzma. Obviously, no need for that. I don't run anything that's going to get me over the line there. It is his game. However, he doesn't know that, and I don't want him to have that information going into the third set. I draw a card. Nothing I can really do there. He's got plenty of lore on board, so it just needs to be George Quest now. At this point, I think we just scoop and then move on. However, looks like I'm still playing it out. Want to see any other tech cards that he's got in his deck. Try and drag it on, just see if there's any additional resources that I can see to get any final information for the following game. Making it look like I do have cards in my deck as well, so it does put the pressure still on George for the final game. Now, I decide to move the damage off Hades here, taking it on to the bigger Hades, taking that card off the board. So we've still got 2, 3, 4, 5 on the board, able to quest out. To be fair, there has been games where my opponents haven't actually clicked that they've got game on the board, and then they just do something silly, pass it over, then I'm able to take it. So no harm in trying it, but George, a very strong player. Of course, he's going to know that he has game. Just going to be working out what he wants to do just to make sure to get over the line, but I don't think he's actually clicked yet that he does have all the lore he needs on the board. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes it's smart to just pass and not show your opponent that they actually have the win, because sometimes when they forget, it means you might be able to pull something off sneaky, get it in the bag. A little bit underhanded, but you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, you know. Now, in my head, I am just thinking to myself, George, you have the game. Why aren't you calling this? But I don't want to tell him that he has the win, just in case he decides to start doing removal and it can somehow keep me in the game for longer. I want to see the resources here. Sings the Let It Go, gets the genie into the inkwell. Now, he's not put himself away from game here, has he? That's 1, 2... No, he's still got the 4 law on the board available with the Demona, so he's absolutely fine. Yeah, then quest out for game. George there just going, oh, wait, no, I do have game. My bad. Keeping it going there. So very well done to George there, but we are going into an absolute thriller, game 3 for this mega match, Ruby Amethyst versus Blurple. Once again, find a little bit funny that he didn't even clock that he had a game on the board, but luckily he didn't exert one of his characters when he didn't need to and stop himself from having the game. Could have went wrong very, very quickly for George, but this is what happens in these high-pressure situations. Players make mistakes, players are focusing on the optimal players, trying to stop you from getting over the line. Obviously, all that's going on in his head, does he have the gathering knowledge? Does he have something like a White Rose? Can he just take it if I let him have anything on the board? So, very well done to George for controlling it the whole way through. But the big benefit, gang, the big benefit, my Crawford Kana legends, is we are on the play here. We are going first. Ruby Amethyst with a very, very big chance. We ink a card here, playing down Tinkerbell on the turn one. Really strong card because it means whatever he runs into it at the start, he is going to sack his own card against it, whether that's Basil, Rafiki, Palace Guard, Royal Guard. Really, really good to have down. The negative, of course, is it means that my card's going to go as well, but I don't mind that too much. Christopher Robin obviously has the big benefit that you can play out with the underdog story going on your turn one if you're going second. However, not for me that time. I don't have any 2 quests to begin with, so I'm absolutely happy with Tink. Going to be Incan Elsa here. Surprised to see that go into the Ink. A card that I do want to keep for later on to be able to exert his board state. Play out the Lumiere, beefing up my Tinkerbell to a 4-1 stat line. Not a bad start, but not very quick. I think I would have preferred to see the Diablo there. Not really optimal for me. Passing over to George, no cards on his side of the board yet. Looks like he's not running very many 1-costs in the deck. Could be a bit of a negative if he does go against a Dogs player, and something that I'm definitely enjoying being a bit of a quicker side of decks myself. Obviously, I'd class this deck as more the tempo mid-range with a slight leaning aggro tendency, but the big benefit, I do have Forms Removal there. I can fight back, and once again, it's amazing against Dogs, something that I really, really was worried about coming to this tournament, and part of the reason why I've been on Ruby Amethyst. Going to be Ink the Tipo, spends out Sail the Azure at Sea, and then inks an additional card, plays out the Basil. So that is going to be really useful for when he does get Elsa come down onto the board. Rush Evasive, exerts one of my characters, then he can exert the Basil, give support to the Elsa, beefing up. I'm just going to quest out 2 cards straight away there. If he runs into the Lumiere, I'm absolutely fine for that. Basil on the board is a bit of a pain for me, because Elsa will be able to take out that Cheshire Cat. So I'm hoping he falls to the bait here, tries to control my board. If he doesn't, I am questing out 3 on the next turn, which is good. Can start putting the pressure on more there. He's having to think about if he wants to get rid of it. That does tell me that he doesn't have the Elsa in hand, which is good news for me. Gets rid of the Lumiere. Really not too much of a benefit on the board state for me. I don't need that +1 strength. Don't need to worry about anything like Under the Sea or any strength-based removal. So we're all good there, and I'm fine for him to take out the Candle. Does decide to ink the Demona. Obviously the card not very good against my deck because you're giving me resources, and when he's ramping me as well, playing down his Demona when I can function off a low hand size is never going to be good. But he does get the Iago down on board now. This is an absolute nightmare for me because I don't run actions in the deck, something that I was very selective about because I didn't want anyone to get Mowgli benefit against me in my test, and I kept seeing my actions get popped left, right and centre, and I just thought, you know what, it's not worth it. At this point we just have to pass the turn though. I'm not exerting with that Iago on the board. A great way to slow me down, and honestly the big threat for my board. I really don't like to see big statted characters, and I really don't like to see big willpower characters, and more importantly I don't like to see big strength, big willpower, evasive characters. Truly a nightmare that I really struggle to get rid of. Now Elsa's going to be coming down, exerts Cheshire Cat. Iago goes straight into that. 3 damage back onto the Iago, then going to be passing turn. I can't afford to exert my genie at this point because it's going to take it out straight away. Even if I challenge in there, I won't be able to take out the Iago, and I just lose my genie. So a little bit of a tricky position. Don't have any actions to be able to pop it. That card's going to stay around on the board for a little bit. I need to try and exert some lower stacked characters trying to take out the Iago himself, or perhaps I can move some damage around with something like a Bell or a Cheshire Cat. Going to be sticking down the Hades there, try to get rid of the Iago. It would be nice to draw, but I'm really hoping that he just gets rid of it. That sticking on the board is going to be even worse for me than if I get to draw. But once again, George doesn't know my list. He's not played against this before, so he's not sure. All he's seen is that it's very quick, and given a quick player, given an aggro-based, tempo-based deck cards is an absolute nightmare. When you're playing against Purple Steel, a lot of the time you just tend to get rid of the card because you don't want them to get additional resources. That's the dilemma that George is facing right now. He's thinking, If I give him the cards, his board state is just going to get wider and wider and wider. But if I get rid of Iago, he then loses the big threat. He's not able to take out my cards like Genie. This is exactly what I want to see. My opponent under pressure, really having to work out what decision he wants to go for. If he decided straight away, it tells me that he's confident. However, this tells me that he does not have the best hand available since he's having to work through so much. He does decide to give me the draw. I'm not too happy with that, but we see a slight smile, a slight smirk on my face. Looks like I've potentially ran into some cards that I'm quite happy with. Now, we do decide to exert the Tinkerbell there. Of course, if he runs the Iago into that, that is going to be getting rid of it itself. But I'd imagine that, of course, it's going to be the Elsa that goes into the Tinkerbell if he decides to get rid of it. I could be setting up a little bit of bait here. If he gets the damage onto the Elsa, I can play down a Cheshire Cat or a Belle. He knows they're in my deck, so that can do some damage manipulation and then take out the Iago in the future, which is not great for him. Hades, obviously not the best character on my board, but at least I've got a little bit of additional more draw in my hand there. We've got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 lore available on the board, only at a 4-0 deficit. Honestly, at this point, I'd say he is looking in a far, far better position than me, and I think that's the Dumbo that he got down, able to exert Iago, gain a lore draw there. Not good. He's going to get additional resources, means he can put me under more pressure. I think the way back into this, if he's able to start ramping me by using ink-based removal, it puts me in a stronger position, but right now, I'm not feeling too confident with the big bird on the board, and I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to take this game. Of course, you'll be able to see behind us, we've just went to 9 minutes left in the match as well. There is not a lot of time between us. It is going to be getting very close time. He does decide to run the Elsa into the Tinkerbell there and then decides to pass turn. Now, if I have the Belle, this could be absolutely huge. Belle here, moving the damage cross from Elsa onto Iago, takes it out. That could be absolutely massive, but it's a one-odd tech card in my deck. Do I have it in my hand? I'm not too sure that I do. I ran it at 61 cards, so I could solely include that Belle. My list was very, very tight. I loved it, but what I realised, not a lot of people are planned for the Belle. They plan for the cat, they play around that, but nobody is playing around Belle, Accomplished Mystic. Something that I got away with quite a lot at League, got away with quite a lot at this tournament, was an invaluable card for me. Now, moved one card off to the side here. We've got 5 ink altogether. Can ink an additional for this turn? Looks like we're going to potentially be playing out a 4-cost card here. Or perhaps I'm just bluffing George, trying to make him think I've got certain cards in my hand, try to give a little bit of false information. But you can see a little sigh coming from myself there. I don't look too happy. I'm still really worried about trying to get rid of this big chicken, causing me endless amounts of problems. Got me into conductor mode, making the points, moving my hand about, wailing, flailing. It's not a good state. Anytime that I tend to slow down my plays, it tends to be that the opponent has me in a really, really risky position. However, we get Headless Horseman come down here. +1 strength to every single character on my board. That means Genie is now at 3 strength. I'd be able to take out his Iago with the Genie. He's pushing the Iago there, going, do you want to get rid of it? Do you want to get rid of it? And it's a really tricky position because I really want to get rid of it, George, but also I need that evasive quester on the board. And then his Dumbo, I'm not going to have anything to be able to get rid of, but I ink the Olaf and then get rid of it with the Genie. Quest for 1 with the Hades, then pass and turn. Only a Demona on the board. Not the end of the world for me. At least I got rid of 2 threats there. Really good turnaround, but my board state isn't looking great, and I am very slowly running out of resource in the hand. Does look like I've got a Cheshire Cat in the hand there, so if he runs the Dumbo into Hades, he would be sacking itself, so a very bad play there. Of course, he's not going to be doing that. Can't even take out the Hades unless he sticks on a Hypnotic Strength with it. I think, if anything, he's probably going to be exerting the Dumbo, gain a lore draw, get some additional resources, but it means he's not going to be able to get Hades on that turn. Horseman, a very good card, but it is taken out very easily against steel decks with the manipulation and damage, and Cheshire Cat, to be fair, really good against it as well. However, Cheshire Cat at this point would not be any good for him. He's going to need to use a Hades or a Let It Go on it, which is only good because it's providing me with additional ramp. We've got the Olaf into the Inkwell there, not valuing it too much in this game. Just trying to... we get the Enchanted Demona going into his Inkwell again. He does have the Hades. Horseman comes into my Inkwell. I'm happy to see that. Really, really happy to see that. Obviously, Hades is a big character. Quest for 2, which is a shame. However, it does mean that I have more resources that I'm able to play around with. I can see a Genie in George's hand there. I've got quite a few cards in my hand. We play down the Genie, get an additional card drew into hands. We only have 6 minutes left on the clock. It is getting very tight between us here, but once again, a very pivotal point in this third set. If it does go to time, we will have 5 turns between us. We go for Tinkerbell and Diablo, widening the board. A really good strategy against Blurple, make it impossible for them to clear everything at one single time. At this point, we have 2, 4, 5, 6 lore available on the board. I can go to 12 on the following turn if he's not able to remove anything, but I think he definitely will be able to. Now, Dumbo surely is going to be exerting to give him the additional card in hand. George running on. It looks like 3 cards in hand. Not a position that he wants. Blurple always has been the drawing deck. The deck which just had so many cards that meant you could go around your opponents. However, tempo-based Blurple at the minute running a lot less cards. A lot harder to play with. Now, Hades is exerting there. And looks like we're just questing, is it? No. I think he's going for the cat, maybe? No, he challenges, Hades in, takes out the Diablo, 3 damage comes back, and then he's playing down. I'm not sure if that was a Bell himself or perhaps a Cheshire Cat, but some damage has been moved over there. 3 damage altogether on my Hades. Only 1 ink still remaining for him. So it has been 5 ink spent, it looks like. Or 6 even, because he's exerted the Dumbo and Drew. And then going to be passing back to me. Sorry about the glare on the side of the map there. We didn't have the best lighting in the hall. Obviously, we had fixed seating, but, you know, we weren't able to set up a studio. This is in the middle of a live tournament. You've got to make do with what you've got on the field. Of course, Axion, very accommodating. And all the judges there, absolutely amazing as well. Had a great time this event. Great seeing loads of people. Had a load of people asking about the channel, which was lovely. Loads of judges really supportive and asking if there was anything we needed. Big shout out to Kai, one of the organisers from Axion, who could not have been more helpful on the day. And of course, a big shout out to the official stream as well, produced by Will Hall. Big player in the Magic community, does lots of producing, lots of casting. Great guy all around. Somebody that I'm very good friends with, so shout out to you, Will. Now, it does look like we get rid of the Dumbo there. Cheshire Cat does damage manipulation itself. Genie goes into Dumbo, then moves the damage across. We've got the boost on the Cheshire Cat. Going to be questing out for 2, is it that? No, we decide to get rid of the Hades as well. Only the Bell accomplished Mystic on his side of the board. So that confirms it on that turn there. He played down the Bell himself. A card which I think is really, really good in this matter. Like I said, nobody's playing around it. I'm playing Bell on my deck, and even I wasn't expecting it on the previous turn. Got a Genie and a Cheshire Cat out on the field. He's got Genie and Bell, but he does have a little bit more resources in his Inkwell. Going to be spending out. Is that another Genie come down on the field? I do not want to see that. It's another card drew into George's hand. Evasives are going to be a little bit of a pain for me to be able to get rid of. He's questing out there, goes to 5 total, catching up to my 6, and then passing turn. Very, very close, but this is the part of the game where Blurple really just starts to take over, and only 4 minutes on the clock. It's getting really, really risky. I need to try and get a right board state, or we're going to be in big trouble here, guys. Losing this match is not something that I want to do. Obviously, the previous match against Green Sapphire, Emerald Sapphire, we did take the L in from the Basil deck. Kyle, lovely lad, who came second in the tournament altogether. Was a pleasure playing against him, but I can't afford to lose another match. I really need to put the pressure on. Able to get down Headless Horseman here, get rid of one of the Genies, which I really like. One of my favourite cards at the minute, Horseman, being able to pop those Genies in the purple matches, able to get rid of loads of cards in the dog matchup when they're not exerting. Just a really strong card overall. And then when we're able to give +1 strength to all my characters, absolutely brilliant. So +1 to everything, and then I decide Cheshire Cat going into the Bell, get rid of the cards on his board. I don't want him to get the wider board state. Luckily, he doesn't have too many cards in his hand, which is good for me. Quest with the Genie, Headless Horseman still on the board. 8-5 deficit. We are in the lead, but we are definitely not in the clear yet. I still think this game is favouring towards George. We do see a judge just behind the table there. We are getting very close to the end. Only 2 minutes remaining on the clock. Both of us under a lot of pressure. Aware of the time constraints, but we need to be careful on our turns. We can't rush them, or we will sack this match. It's not a case where we can guarantee a draw. I think one of us still definitely can take a win here. Gets down the Hades, gets rid of the Genie. Not something I want to see, but it is still ink for me. We take the positive. Questing out to 7 altogether. Looks like he's just going to be passing turn there. 3 cards in hand for George. Few cards available in my hand. Now, that's 2 cards additional that he's put into my Inkwell here, which is really, really good for me. I really need to get this board state wide here, though. I've got nothing to be able to take out the Genie. I play down a Genie myself, 3-cost Genie. We boost it straight away. If he uses his ink-based removal, going to be getting me very, very wide on the ramp, and also going to be questing very, very heavily. Going to be questing the horseman there. Goes up to 10 altogether. Passes it straight back to George. I've got a little bit of a curve going here. I've worked out a little bit more of what I'm doing. I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable, and I'm able to speed up the turns. Now, we don't want to see anything like a second star to the right. That could be absolutely nightmare fuel for me if he's able to draw loads of cards and then find all of his removal. Only a Genie and the Hades on the field, so not the best board state position for him. I am also able to manipulate damage with the Cheshire Cat. However, Let It Go comes down. Get rid of the Genie straight away. Another 2 cards come down into my Inkwell, and I think that is a Cheshire Cat himself. We are then going to be taking out Headless Horseman with his Hades, 4 damage onto it altogether, and then pass and turn. 1 damage onto his Genie. Nothing I'm going to be able to do that. Perhaps I'm going to want to take out his Hades with my Cheshire Cat, but his Cheshire Cat causing me a few problems myself. The good thing is we have loads and loads of inks. We can definitely play around here as long as I keep cards in my hand, but only 1 minute or so left on the time. We're getting very, very close to turns. You can see behind us, looks like a judge has just sat down at our table next to George. Obviously, we're trying to keep pace of play as much as possible. Got a judge behind us as well, just observing the other games. Not a lot of time left. I really need to think this through, though, because it's difficult. Do I get rid of the Hades and then not quest? Or do I leave it on the board? If I leave that on the board there, it's putting him in risk of being able to get a second star. Once again, I don't know if it's in his deck or not, but it's also a 2 quest. I mean, he can get ahead of me very, very quickly. 9 to 10 on the law altogether. We've only got a few seconds left. I stick down Hades looking for a deal. Put in at the Cheshire Cat. Does he let me draw? Does he let me get the advantage in my hand? He's only got 1 card in his hand himself. Realistically, he can't let me draw here. He decides to get rid of the cat. I think that really is the best play there. It would have been nice to get the cards in my hand, but it's just getting a card off the board, meaning I can be in a bit of a better position. Oh, we get the Bell coming down the field. What an amazing play. Ruby Amethyst coming in strong. The one-off Bell coming in clutch once again in this match. This could not have come at a better time. We've completely removed all the resources from George's side of the board. Blurple not able to do anything whatsoever. He gets the Demona down onto the field, but it means that I am now getting to draw 3 cards. No cards in my hand whatsoever. Iago comes down onto the field. Not something I want to see. You can see I'm a little bit disappointed with that there. I think we are going to be going on to turns in a second, but that's 2, 3, 4 lore I'm able to get on the following turn. I can quest up to 14. Resources in my hand. Plenty of Inkwell. There is definitely a chance we can take this game, but it is going to be very, very close. We've got the big quester for Demona. Iago going to be able to take out every single one of my characters on board no matter what exerts. I need to be really careful of this, but with the time so small, I can't afford to let him get too much of an advantage. We get Lumiere down on the field. Really good, means that it's going to be doing more damage into his cards for whatever I exert. The question is, do I want to quest out here? I ink the Demona, play down another Cheshire Cat on the board here. Oh my god, we have Demona, Cheshire Cat, and Lumiere. That is 11 ink. How often do you see this for Ruby Amethyst in this part of the meta? Able to redraw my hand. 3 cards already in George's hand. Not able to do much there, and we are going wide. We are questing. This is a fantastic position. Passing it straight onto George. On turns, not a lot of time for him left. He's going to struggle to take out every single card on the board state here. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lore available on the board. I only need 6 of it to be able to take this game. Does he have anything in his hand to be able to get rid of this? Iago can go into something, take out something. Demona be able to take out something, but Demona exerted by the looks of it. I think he's going to really, really struggle on this turn. Of course, because I played down the Demona, he's got 3 cards in hand. That force exerts it. Nothing he can do without Demona on this turn. A really even better play there. Honestly, this is the best position that I could be in. He needs handheld removal, but he's going to have to waste all his ink using it, which is going to be really, really difficult for him. Even if he gets rid of the 3 cards at the front, I still have 2, 3, 4 lore available. I can get myself to 18, get myself really, really close. Once again, not a lot of cards available in George's hand. Really, really difficult situation for him here. Going to be exerting. Looks like 3, goes for the Cheshire Cat, able to do a little bit of damage manipulation here. Could run in, takes out the Hades, no, takes out the Bell. 5 damage comes back onto Iago, can then manipulate the damage by boosting the cat, take out the Lumiere, the exact right play you're looking for, George, well done. But I've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lore available on the board, so it's not quite enough to win on the following turn. Not quite yet. He doesn't know that I don't have any instant lore in my deck, but it's not quite enough. He is going to need something like a Let It Go or something to try and remove the field a little bit more. He needs to get rid of that Demona. That 2 quester is a massive, massive threat for him. His board's looking a little bit better, but only on 9 lore altogether. Once again, as soon as it goes into turn, we don't have that time constraints anymore, so we can take a little bit more time, slow things down, focus on the right plays, 5 turns available once we hit that time constraint. Judge just sitting there with us, keeping an eye on what's going on, able to keep track of what turn that we're on, make sure everything is played properly. Really, really difficult turn for both of us here. Still a little bit more ink available for George here, and Elsa would not be great for me if he's able to exert my Demona. Not too sure how many cards I have in hand, but if he can at least stop that from questing, it puts him in a far, far better position. Not sure if maybe he has an Into the Unknown, can get rid of the Hades, the Cheshire Cat, but I will additionally say we're already at 11 ink. If he gives me any more and I get a couple of draw cards, board's going to go very, very wide, and he won't be able to do anything with it whatsoever. You can see the stress on George's face there. He's really trying to work out an option. I'm not sure what he's got in his deck to be able to come back. He needs the removal, but not a lot of ink left. Exerts 5 altogether, gets the Hades looking for a deal, targeting the Demona. At this point, surely I'm keeping that on the board state, and I say, draw, buddy. Take as many cards as you like. Of course, if he gets the removal, it is annoying. However, he's not able to sing straight away. With anything. Well, he does have the Cheshire Cat. He would be able to sing with that and get rid of one of my cards. Sticks down a 1 cost onto the field. I think that's a Royal Guard. And is he passing turn there? Or does he choose to exert Cheshire Cat? Decides to pass turn. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lore available on the board. I can go to 19 at this point. If I fill out the board, make it impossible for him to do any removal. If he can't get rid of anything, I simply just take the game. Not loads of cards in my hand, but we're in a very, very good position. George is able to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lore on his board. He can go up to 15. He can't take the win on the following turn, something I'm definitely going to be aware of, something that I can play around. I know he can't take it in 1 turn, but he can take it in 2. We're right at the very end of turns here. Judge just swapping there into the final part of this game. Both players under quite a little bit of stress. We get the Genie down onto the board. Really nice evasive card, something he's going to struggle with. You see a nod of the head there, showing me that I've got something good in my hand. I'm happy with what I've got. Plenty of more resources in my inkwell. You can see there, George is at 4, 8, 11 ink as well. It is weird to see both of us at the same ink. Now, what do I play down next? Realistically, like I say, we just want the board state to be as wide as possible. No instant lore in George's deck either. He's not going to be able to take a win straight away. I'm just trying to work out what the best option is, try to make it as hard as possible for him to remove every single one of these characters. Plenty of ink still available, Zach. Take your time, play out the right cards, make it impossible for him. You can take this win, just be really smart about it. It's looking in your favour. The big benefit of this deck, ladies and gentlemen, it can go wide. Once we have ink, we can do a lot with it. As much as it's hard to do the removal, as much as I've sacrificed a lot of the removal power, the deck performs really well, and it can go really, really quick. And you've seen that this game. George was able to control me for most of the game, but was able to get a wide board again, put pressure on him, stop him from going anywhere. Exerts 3, plays down Sisu, another 2 quest, a nice card to be playing down. Going to be inking an additional card, inks the Olaf, plays down Genie onto the board, another 3 exerted there. We've got the full... looks like 10 exerted altogether, I think. Do I still have one more, or have I miscounted there? Realistically, though, even so, if he's... yeah, so we did have that final one, and we're just going to be boosting here. We move some damage across, and we take out the Royal Guard, stops him from being able to do any more challenges. We go all the way up to 19, ladies and gentlemen. This could be game. Can he take out 3 cards on the back row? I don't think he can. A little bit of the shake of the head there for George. Not too sure that he's got enough to be able to take this game. This could be an absolute massive win for us in round 5, taking us to the 4th win of the tournament. Only 1 loss against the person, Kyle, who came 2nd in the entire tournament. Blurple, a deck that I've built this deck specifically to counter against. Dog's one of the better matches as well. George had a look to see what he can do here. He's going to have to run all of his characters in to be able to take out. If anything, he's probably going to be squeezing to try to get the draw. Looking to see if there's any options whatsoever, but I don't think it is. You're probably going to have to scoop here, George, and he extends the hand. We take the win. That's another win for Ruby Amethyst, ladies and gentlemen. A big well done. Make sure to stay around. Make sure to come back for the next video. Thanks for sticking around. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one.